We are excited to have you join us in person as we gather together this Sunday. In order to ensure adequate time for the new protocols, please arrive 15 to 20 minutes prior to your service time. If you are serving in a ministry other than post-service cleaning, please come 30 minutes prior to your service time. As we will be practicing social distancing in our worship services, if you have family members that you have had contact with during this time, please meet in the church parking lot prior to coming in. You may check in as a group so that you may be seated together. As you enter the building from the parking lot, you'll notice mats along the sidewalk. These mats are there to welcome you to church, but they are also there to help ensure social distancing as you wait to enter the building. Please have your party use these mats to ensure that social distancing as you approach the building. Michael Weinberg has a video of what that check-in process will look like.
Hello, church. We're going to talk a little bit about what we need to do in order to open up safely this coming Sunday. So some of the things that we're working with the Department of Health requirements through New York State is a checklist for questions. So there's about 5 questions we're going to have to ask people as they come into church. And we're also going to have to take people's temperatures. So let's just talk a little bit about the questionnaire. Ideally, you've already confirmed that you're coming to the 9 a.m. service or the 11 a.m. service. So we'll have a checklist prepared. The Department of Health, probably because of tracking and tracing in case there's an outbreak, want to be able to say who was around whom in case there's a bunch of positive tests that occur. We're hoping not. We're doing everything to prevent that, including wearing masks inside the church for the first couple of weeks. So with that said, we'll have a clipboard with questions on it. The questions really pertain to, are you showing any signs or symptoms of COVID? One of the other questions we'll be asking is, in the last 14 days, have you traveled out of the tri-state area? If you answer that you have any of these issues or that you've been out of New York State, New Jersey, Connecticut area, if you've been out of there for the last 14 days, you're supposed to be quarantining. And again, any of these questions that are answered in the affirmative, if you're feeling sick, you do have a fever, you have a cough, you've been out of the tri-state area, we're supposed to tell you should be going home and resting. So that's the questionnaire part we're checking off as people come in. Again, as part of track and trace, a Department of Health requirement in order for us to hold church services again. So this is out of the ordinary, but we have to do this in order to worship together again. Now that the pandemic, thankfully, we're in phase 3 in New York, so we're really being permitted to do this with some requirements out of an abundance of caution. So once somebody answers all the questions, the next thing we're going to do is actually take somebody's temperature. We'll have thermal scan thermometers available, so you don't actually touch the person's forehead. We'll actually be able to scan from about an inch away, so it'll probably look a little bit like this, right? And then we do a reading, and as long as the temperature reading comes back under 100.4, the person could then go in. The issue at 100.4, it's considered medically that you actually have a fever if it's 100.4 or higher. If you do a reading and somebody has 100.5 or 100.8, it could be because it's hot outside, and so we could try to take it again, or you could technically take it on somebody's wrist here, and you'll get another thermal scan reading. So if they're out in the sun, usually that'll give you a truer reading than the forehead, but we're doing forehead for sake of ease. Another thing that could happen throughout the summer as we're having to do this is you take somebody's temperature, and all of a sudden it comes out a low reading or 94 or can't register. That's probably because the person driving here has been taking their own personal car, cranked the AC, and then their skin's really, really cool. So once it gets under 94, 93, it's going to show up too low to register. At that point, again, you could take the temperature on somebody's wrist or just allow the person to defrost and take their temperature again. We're doing this out of an abundance of caution for ourselves, but also we're doing this because we have a Department of Health requirement in order to hold services again. There are similar requirements about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, but those were services for 10 people and under. Now we're allowed to have services that are 25% of capacity. We're hoping that the next phase will be closer to normal. First couple of weeks, you'll notice most of us will all be wearing masks, even at the front door, even though we're outside. And again, this is just to protect people who are coming in. We have a number of people who may have health or immune issues, so we're all going to wear masks to protect one another for the first couple of weeks. So that's it. Basically, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you this coming Sunday. Thanks. Bye.
Once you enter the building, an usher will take you to your seat. You'll pass directly through the lobby and into the sanctuary. Use each side of the sanctuary to enter into the sanctuary. We will be seating people from the front toward the back. You will notice that every other pew is marked off with a rope, This will ensure that we maintain at least 6 feet of social distancing between families. Once you are seated, please remain in your seat. While we would love to have a time of greeting one another, we ask that you refrain from close contact while inside the building. Please wave, please smile with your eyes, and you may visit outside following the service. At the end of the service, ushers will dismiss by pew from the back to the front. This dismissal will go through the center aisle. As you leave the sanctuary, please exit the side of the building by the ramp and into the parking lot. We encourage any conversations between families to take place outside in this parking lot. These are strange requirements to come into a church building, but these are necessary ways that we show love to our neighbors in this time. Thank you for your understanding as we seek the welfare of everyone around us and as we try to maintain a safe and worshipful atmosphere.